Morning, ladies and gentlemen. This video is to accompany the kind of second set of resources that go with our kind of second week topic of effort. So, a bit of an overview of the week. Last week we looked at your vision, and hopefully you've managed to answer some of those 20 questions and have then used those to create your vision for yourself for sixth form, and then hopefully have read through the SMART goals and have developed yourself some SMART goals, certainly for the first year of sixth form. Now, in order to achieve those goals, the second quality you're going to need is effort. And in this case, when we talk about effort is about how much hard work you do in your studies. So this week we're looking at effort and why effort is important, but also how to get into some good habits to help yourself put in the kind of maximum level of effort that you are capable of. And that really is the kind of the myth of success, isn't it? People who have a very fixed mindset will believe that, there's kind of people who are naturally more talented than others and therefore that's why they're successful. But as we know from kind of all settings, the reality is rather different. And, success is a bit of an iceberg, really. I'm sure you've probably seen this before. What people see really is just the success, but what they don't see is all the kind of work that goes on in the background. So the kind of dedication towards achieving a goal, the hard work and the effort and the training, the discipline to do things when people don't want to, overcoming disappointment, perhaps sacrificing things, perhaps even failing and overcoming that, and having that persistence to kind of drive yourself forward to achieve. And Matthew Syed talks about this in his book, Bounce. And he is a firm believer that all successful people have had to put in a very large amount of effort to achieve something. And he talks through this idea of kind of 10,000 hours being needed to become world class at something. And even those, he said, who are deemed to be the most talented in a particular area, such as sports, is what he looks at, they have still had to put in a huge amount of effort and success to become that talented, world-class individual through practice and indeed their attitude and their mindset. And there's a little link on this slide so you can see him sort of talking about that in full. So to help you with this, there's these next few slides look at kind of a self-assessment of effort that you have put into things. Be honest with yourself, as this will help you to reflect on how you work and perhaps will help you to identify what times you need to try to put in a bit more effort and what times perhaps you currently are putting in a lot of effort, so can continue in that vein. So for these first few questions, give yourself a score of 1 if you've put in little to no effort. Give yourself a score of 5 if you have worked reasonably hard, put in some effort, and give yourself a score of 10 if you've put in the highest level of effort that you are capable of, so the hardest you've ever worked. So the first question for those, look back at your GCSE courses, and over the 2 years, how much effort did you put into your studies on that 1 to 10 scale? Again, 10 being the most effort you've ever put into anything, 1 being little or no effort, and 5 being kind of a medium amount of effort, a middle amount of effort. Question number 2, look back at the revision that you did for your mock exams when you had those. And again, on that 1 to 10 scale, assess how much effort you put into that. Question number 3, since the announcement that the government has cancelled GCSEs, how much effort have you been putting into your work for your subjects? And again, that 1 to 10 scale for that. So then these next 3 questions, the 1 to 10 scale kind of reflects hours of independent study a week. So a score of 1 means 0 to 2 hours of independent study a week for all subjects. A score of 5 means 10 hours of independent study a week for all subjects. And a score of 10 is at least 20 hours of independent study a week for all subjects. And so, for that, how many hours studying do you think you will do to be successful at A level. So again, 1 is kind of 0 to 2, and 10 is 20 or more hours over all your subjects. Question number 5, how much effort have you put into independent study since the start of these transition courses? So how much are you working on your individual subjects as part of these transition courses? And then question number 6, how much effort will you put in to revision for your AS and A-level exams? And again, on that 1 to 10 scale. Now, some of you, if you are doing subjects at Tring, won't have an AS exam because we only offer them in a few subjects. So you can also think about that for your end of year exams in the lower 6th as well. So the reason why we're talking so much about hours of study and effort, the studies that were completed by Oakes and Griffin in 2016 found that students who achieved three A grades or higher at A level completed on average 20 hours independent study a week. And they found that the average for A level students across all kind of performances and grades was 7 hours per week. So 20 hours independent study across all their subjects, or 7 to get 3 A's, or 7 hours if they were on average getting lower grades across all grades. And they discovered that there is a direct link between the number of hours spent studying and the level of achievement at A level. And as a result, they have recommended for everyone to achieve their potential, about 4 to 5 hours per subject per week is needed for independent study. And when they say independent study, that is, yes, obviously completing homework, but also things like reading around a topic, making revision notes, kind of generally studying and developing your knowledge of that subject. So this second part of the presentation looks at developing good habits and the 3 R's of developing a good habit. And there's a little video, again, that can sort of go through this in a bit more detail. And as part of this, I would like you to think back to last week's session on the visions and identify which of the goals you are currently furthest away from achieving. And identify what you need to do to try and improve your chances of success and improve your ability to achieve these goals. Now, Oakes and Griffin both said that really effort is actually about habit as well. And in order to put in your maximum amount of effort, you need to get into a bit of a routine so that you are sort of in good habits that will allow you to develop this kind of level of effort that is required to put in 4 to 5 hours studying per subject per week. And there are 3 R's that they said would help people to develop these habits and therefore help them to put in more effort. And the first thing is kind of a reminder. So this could be a feeling, a place, a time of day, but something that triggers a behaviour you are looking to repeat. Then there is the routine, so that's the actual behaviour itself. Now they recommend for studying you have a quiet or silent environment where you are able to kind of lay out your books and work effectively and perhaps have access to different resources. So they have suggested something like a library or a study area that is quiet is a good place to study. And they said the third R, which they feel is very important, is actually giving yourself some sort of reward at the end of this level of effort, or so to make sure the habit is kind of reinforced. And this is perhaps a feeling or benefit that you gain from carrying out some independent study. It could be as simple as that. Or it could be something that's like a little gift to yourself. So, listening to your favourite song at the end of the track, at the end of the revision session, or something along those lines. A little kind of reward for yourself at the end. And here's a simple example. So one of our sixth formers said every day before breakfast they would spend 10 minutes sort of stretching with their roommates, and their little reward at the end of that was simply just high-fiving each other because they'd done it. And they did that in their dorms throughout the whole of sixth form, and that helped them to obviously put in the effort they needed for being a successful dancer, but at the same time gave them a good habit and gave them a little bit of reward. And you will see that there is a kind of task in the folder where you guys can use the habit planner to set yourself 3 daily tasks that will help you to move forward to achieving one of your SMART goals that you set last week. So have a look through that information, and if you do have any questions, do feel free to email me.